Hey, folks, welcome to Truth Talk with Steve. Today, I've got a phenomenal guest. I've been so excited to have this beautiful lady on. I want to welcome to the show today, Vaughn Galt. How are you today, Vaughn?
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to talk to you, Steve. We have so much in common.
Oh boy, don't we? We haven't even gotten to the business stuff. There's a lot there as well. So, um, I let's let the audience know. I came across your podcast a few months ago, and I was just so, you know, the topics you talk about are a lot of things that I've been kind of digging into and researching the last 18 months, 2 years, more from a spiritual standpoint and learning about consciousness and, what's going on in the world and all those kind of things. And it just sucked me in and I've just learned so much. So I thought, man, I have got to reach out to Vaughn and see if I could get her to come talk about some of these things. Just real quick for the audience, your profession, you're in IT world. You're also an author, and you can correct me on this. Some of this, if I get it wrong, but you grew up in Buddhism, and you really had maybe a gift, a liking, an attraction to, I guess, artwork. Is that right? I mean, sacred geometry is what it turns out that it is, and just listening to that stuff has been so fascinating as well to learn some of those things. And as I've listened to others and then you about how everything's vibration and how, I can't remember the website, but you refer people to it where you can record your voice and they'll send you like an image of, what it does. So we can talk about that as well. But anyway, if there's anything else you'd like to, add as far as your background, feel free. But if not, we'll just get into it.
Yeah. So just really, really quick. So I am Laos. I'm from Laos. Born but raised in the United States. So I'm from the Hmong tribe of Laos, and we are, according to the Buddhist folklores and the local folklores, we're remnants of a lost continental island of Mu or Lemuria.
Okay.
And so I am a little bit Polynesian, although I've never stepped foot in Polynesia, but my DNA is. So and that pretty much backs up a lot of my work with like Lemuria and bringing that star seed and that galactic origins back to the forefront because we're in a transition. Earth is in a transition, so humanity to become intergalactic again when we reach those levels of consciousness. But basically, my background is I was born and raised in the Buddhist tradition. And growing up, I really got bored of the basics in temple, which is basically how not to be a douchebag and create karma for yourself so you can come back over and over again to undo those karma. But so that was basics. And so what I typically did was wander the temples and study the artworks, playing the koi ponds, try to
This
swim
is
out
just
and
as a
pick
young child,
as a
right?
young kid, yeah, try to
Yeah.
swim out and pick the fully blossomed lotuses in the lotus ponds, that kind of stuff. So just like a little kid. So they always had change of clothes for me, and I was just a curious girl, and I was attracted to the art. Well, what you will find every single Buddhist temple and Hindu temple, by the way, because they do have offshoots of very similar belief systems, is you will find these beautiful, they're in the covers of my books, these beautiful mandalas. And it's always the picture of a bodhisattva or Buddha, one and the same, an ascended master, if you want to call it somebody who's mastered consciousness and can pop in and out of any version of reality they want to give love and grace.
Can they
But
pop
you'll
in out of any dimension?
any dimension anywhere in existence.
Wow.
It's all the consciousness. But anyways, so you see these beautiful
Oh,
artwork.
wow.
You'll
Yeah.
see them everywhere.
I got to get that.
And basically what it's telling you is that you are energy, and as energy, you incarnated into these avatars for your own purpose. Kind of like you chose certain video games to play with a certain set of elements. So you can have your whatever it is you're trying to achieve, trying to experience all that kind of stuff. Now, to change the reality and to change the elements that you want to play with, the user has to change the frequency. They have to change the channel. They have to change the code.
Okay.
Okay. The codes are the energetic frequency of your aura field. Your aura field has a frequency. You yourself is a security code. And with those security codes, you access different versions of reality, different dimensions, etc. And that is basically what all these Buddhist mandalas artwork that you see all over the world in all the temples is trying to tell you.
So is that the same book, just a different cover?
This is the stuff
This one?
what you yeah. I love being interviewed by people who read my books. Okay, yeah, this is book
Okay, so
one.
so explore the parallel realities, and the other one was
Yeah, so
geometry. Okay.
this one is Buddhist mandalas explore parallel realities with sacred geometry, and this basically explains with scientific evidence how what I just said, how your energy field dictates your experiences and your holographic reality. Um, so not to get too into esoteric and metaphysics, but it's jam packed with scientific studies and so forth because I grew up knowing the art history and getting a different lesson than what most people go to Buddhist temples for, to sit there and listen to the teachers and the student teachers teach. I got a completely different lesson. I got advanced studies in Buddhism through art history. So, but I wasn't ready to write the books yet because I needed to prove it true.
Gotcha.
So 20 or so years ago, when I went to college and in high school, the Dalai Lama and many monks and nuns throughout the world started this initiative to pair up with academia to do consciousness and mindfulness research. Okay.
Wow.
And how does that affect our reality? So we're doing yoga, now we're doing acupuncture,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. So that's where it's coming from. But all that research at heart and mind research that was done with academia started bringing interesting studies to either validate some of the stuff that we knew, clarify some stuff that we needed clarification on, or just kind of debunk some of the stuff that was so far off that maybe like a monk wrote about and not everybody can have that same experience. So it gave a lot of information. So the book is jam packed with that. So it's completely factual. So
Wow.
we are an energy field living in a holographic reality. Anyways, that's this book one. And then when you're ready, because I always caveat when you read book one, you will change your frequency. You'll raise your frequency. It'll open you up because knowledge. It's like you just open up a book in a video game that gave you so much knowledge on how
Get you
to
to the next level.
master
Right.
that game to get to the next level.
Yes.
It's all a video game.
That's
And then the second book, because now you're raising your frequency and you're going to start seeing changes in your reality. Mandela effects is what they call it, whatever you want to call it. But is the second book, and that is Buddhist Mandala's Christ consciousness of a multidimensional Merkaba. So I know the word Christ is triggering for some people, but in the East, it's not a triggering word. It just means crystalline for
isn't
your Merkaba, for your aura field. It's the crystalline consciousness, the higher frequency consciousness. That's what they call it, but it's short enough for Christ. So
yeah.
all people are crystalline
We
consciousness
have
or
Christ
Christ conscious.
within, right?
Exactly, because
Yeah.
that's because we're just
We
fractal
are.
expressions of source. So,
Yeah.
anyways, that when you get to those consciousness levels, those entry levels, then you start experiencing Mandela effect, you start experiencing reality, you start experiencing some crazy manifestations. Going after money, fame, and all that is just like not really interesting to you. What
Oh,
you're interested in is how am I going to change my physical reality? Like the house is going to change color, the dog's going to change suits, I mean, just like, like how do you switch video games,
yeah.
basically? So,
Wow.
and that's why I have the appropriate cover with Tara, who is the mother of enlightenment. And this is not three different bodies in one body. This is three different versions of her in three different versions of reality, giving grace
At
and
like three different
compassion.
timelines or three different
Yes, yes,
dimensions.
yes,
Same thing, is
yes.
it?
It's the same. It timelines. They all exist at the same time. Now we're kind of getting a little metaphysical. We're gonna start losing people, but the thing is that you have to think in terms of source, God, Allah, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't
Yeah.
really matter. It's
All
all
the
the same.
same. Yeah.
It's all the same. Everything exists within that one consciousness. Everything exists. So it is getting instant gratification through everything. All you have to do as a mini expression of it is to focus on what it is you want to focus on. Okay. And when you focus on that, that's what you attract to yourself as your experience.
100%.
It's like
I've proven
it's
that many a times in my life.
exactly. It's like you don't listen to two radio stations at the same time.
Yeah.
Listen to one. And
Yep.
which one do you want to focus on? So it's I simplify it, and then if people are working on kind of troubleshooting some of the old programs and conditioning that they picked up that may be running in the background in their life, like kind of old uh, hidden fees that we didn't know is going on that we're still paying
Right.
for and making decisions off of. Um, the first book I wrote, which is Buddhist Guide to Manifest Parallel Realities. So it's basically using the Four Noble Truths and Eightfold Path in the Age of Consciousness. And the lotus is basically you, because as you uncover more, you kind of bloom
Light.
as a
Yeah.
you bloom as a person.
More light. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Beautiful.
get more light. So, anyways, but the Four Noble Truths and Eightfold Path, and this is why I say and I keep saying to people who think that Buddhism is a religion, because it's not. This is the Four Noble Truths. You tell me if this is a religion. Life is suffering is number one. Number two, attachment causes suffering. Number three, insight removes suffering. And number four, living the Eightfold Path ends suffering. And here's the Eightfold Path. And you can apply this. And I have a workbook in this that you can use in anything you're working on. It is correct thought, speech, action, livelihood, understanding, effort, concentration, and mindfulness. If you go through and dissect what you're working on in those different 8 perspectives to see if you're looking through the situation appropriately, you will uncover those hidden programs and conditioning patterns that are holding you back from achieving that next level of experience. That is not a religion.
Not even
Those are
close.
just guidelines for anything that you're working on, and it is an ongoing process because we're on an ongoing journey of existence.
Yeah, well, that's
So,
great to have those 8 things. I've got it. I'm gonna order that tonight because I want the worksheets or the stuff inside because as you say, thoughts and words. I mean, just those 2 things that I've focused on the past few years has really changed everything. Because we don't understand the power of the words. We don't understand the meaning of certain words that we have been taught that really cause negativity. Really, I guess.
mhm.
And so that's been fascinating to really start to understand that,
Yeah. Yeah,
all of it.
so for
It's
the
great.
West, yeah, the word Christ consciousness is triggering for many people who come from Western traditions
For
because
sure.
they think the word Christ has been copyrighted for just Jesus.
Right.
And they're all time. And in the East, it's just a short word for crystalline consciousness, the energy field of a being who has ascended their energy field to mastery of the matrix. Now they have dominion of their matrix, not everybody else's,
Right.
their matrix. Because everybody's in their own journey. And then of course we're cross like a flower of life. We're intersecting in our aura fields.
Right.
But that's basically it. And then the other thing that's triggering is the word Jesus. They they don't want anything other than Jesus. So if you use him by his real name, which is Yeshua,
Uh-huh.
or Isa, which is the name that was given to him by some of his uh, their students and I guess you would say clients for energy healing, is Isa. Um, they get challenged by that, so that's okay. That's a personal journey. But when you are ready for that, Jesus is a fake name that was given by the Roman Church. And
Yes.
so, like, if you were to pass on and go to heaven and you ask for Jesus, they're going to say, "Who?
Yeah, that's really tough for some people to hear
They're
that.
gonna say, but they know what they can read your energy field, so
Sure.
they're not gonna like try to stump you like that. They're like, okay, yeah,
Well,
it's
so
okay.
Jesus as a whole is a whole topic in itself, because help me and my audience understand more of, when he's basically missing in the Bible for years and years. you know I've heard you talk about these things and a few others. Tell us a little bit about what he was doing, and is Jesus just somebody that became an ascended master and was able to master, and there's many people like that, correct? I mean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, they're even the word. I don't like the word legion because that has a triggering. Because
right.
everybody thinks because they use that for like negative beings. We are legion, all of that. So now like that word's copyrighted forever. Nobody can ever say legion. But there's also a legion of positive people too.
Yeah.
So, we gotta get over these like copyrighted words. We were just talking about copyrighted words that we can't say
Yes.
that we get censored for because they copyrighted that.
Right.
So, anyways, so let's give you a quick rundown in the East. And I understand where some of these triggerings because my ex-husband, he is Mormon, he is LDS.
No kidding. Is he
Uh,
still?
I think so. Yeah, I think
And he's on
so.
the records of the church still, right?
Oh, he's a all-star
He's
player.
he's
He's a
still active?
pilot. I
No
think
kidding.
so. Yeah. So, anyways, besides the point, um, we were college sweethearts, and he tried so hard to convert me. It just couldn't get over a couple things that I was like, because I had this like unofficial formal training
Right.
in like art history, and I'm like, I'm at like the intergalactic
Right.
Lemurian
Wait.
starseed. I'm like, oh, you're like trying to get me to just accept Yeshua,
Exactly.
which I'm like, I've already accepted it. So let's just, but so anyway, that's besides the point. So we're not equally yoked. No problem. Um, that's fine. But I was totally respectful of, going to church and doing activities with friends and
Yeah.
other things. That was totally respectful because, you know, a lot of Buddhists are super respectful. We'll do stuff with you, but it doesn't mean
Frankly,
that it's going to change
that's
us.
yeah, but I mean that's honestly how we should all be. That's what we need.
It,
It's just
it's
that love.
Yeah, we love you
Not
unconditionally as you
judging
are.
for the different beliefs and stuff. That's why we're at where we're at.
Yeah, we get
We're going the
yeah,
right direction, I think. We're starting to move.
exactly. We got aloha for everybody. We have
Yes.
unconditional love for you, no matter what and where you are and where you're going. So that means accepting for who you are without trying to change you. So
Mm,
besides the point, fast forward, we just wanted different things and in our life, and we kind of grew to be different people, and we respectfully dissolved the relationship. But I learned so much about the LDS Church, and I know so many wonderful people there,
yeah.
and who are part of the church, and at the same time extremely metaphysical, and they have a side interest as well for continuing to develop their consciousness. So they're navigating their life contracts that they came in to do. So, and that gets into topics of reincarnation and what our purpose is in life, because we're all navigating our soul contracts.
Yeah.
So, but that gave me a really good perspective. So I'm familiar with like when I talk with clients that come in from very rigid spiritual belief systems, and they want like you want to talk about Yeshua, and they're reading about it and they're learning about it, and they're like, how is it that the whole Asia knows? And it's like we're coming in trying to like convert you, and they already know, and but we're trying to like convert you on a certain path, and they're like uh, just being polite and just shaking their head and going,
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, and it never drops. So let me
Yeah.
drop the other shoe really quick. So so you can kind of understand if you're talking to a Buddhist that knows a lot more. So his name is Yeshua Ben Yosef. Uh, Jesh, Jeshua Jesus Ben Joseph Yosef. J is kind of a created letter. They don't even have it in Latin, and I have Latin Bibles from 1583 Geneva ones before the King James version. So I have the original stuff. because I verify it's my relic of history, so I can verify if it was Mandela affected. So, and I've done episodes like that for my podcast. But anyways, you're missing 30 years of his life. Okay, he didn't pop in all of a sudden. He was all of a sudden born, and then you missed 30 years, and then all of a sudden he's teaching.
Right.
Okay, and then you're supposed to spend the rest of your life never trying to uncover the 30 years.
Right.
And it's blasphemous if you ever try to find out what happened in those 30 years.
Yep.
Okay, go to Rome, go to the Vatican. You see lots of gold, everything. You will not see that much stuff about Yeshua. Okay, so that's besides the point, and I'm not going to demonize anybody that's a part of this greater, bigger picture of consciousness.
Right.
So in Buddhism, we have scrolls that we write on everything, and the monks are they're scribes. So in ancient times, from the Lemurian past and from the Hindu past and so forth, if somebody wanted to learn to read, to write, they want to get education, the only place to get an education if you're poor is to go into monastic institutions, monasteries. They were actually institutions, they're free educations. You can go in, do your service, get your education, whatever. So they when they go in there, they study everything, and everything funnels up to consciousness, because everything is a physical manifestation of consciousness, of your energy field. Okay. And that's just the short of it. And so they progress all the way, and that's what they study. So they study all these different aspects of consciousness, and then they write it down. They write it down so that they have record of the history of the people, the history of whatever energy healing, the history of meditation, how different ways to meditate, different ways to connect to your ancestors, whatever you want to explore. Consciousness studies. It's crazy. So that's what it is. And so one day, these monks are doing meditation like they always do, and they're connected, and they get the call from Source saying, I'm going to send somebody to do a specific mission to help raise consciousness of humanity. You can't do it alone, and there's a lot of psyops in this reality. Well, what don't we know? So there's a lot of boogie, not really, like what do we call it? Like it's almost Halloween, but like boogie houses or whatever. I don't know. Boogie traps. There's a lot of booby traps. Booby traps. Yeah, booby traps.
Gotcha, yeah.
There's a lot of booby traps, psyops in this reality. Okay. People have been caught up in the game so long they forgot the whole game.
We lost because we were even in the game. Yeah.
Yeah, they forgot. So, anyways, and they got into their own like sins. So whatever. But that's just holding down their frequency. That's a whole another thing. But back to Yeshua. So these monks go, okay, fine, no problem. We'll look for an erratic star. So they followed this erratic star. We can that has a whole, like, you can go crazy. What is this erratic star? It's not following normal star patterns. So they followed this erratic star, the Star of Bethlehem. They followed it to the area where he was going to be born, and then they went and they found his mother. Now his mother and father is already metaphysical. Okay. They already have their own, their energy healers. They were what we call hippies in these days. So doing explorations and all that. So I think it's
their
like this
level of consciousness is higher than most people.
Yeah. Right. So they're doing energy healing, they're doing studies. They've been studying with pretty much anybody that they feel attracted to. So anyways, they got picked to be the parents. And so these monks followed the star, went to them, gave them 3 gifts. Okay. And the 3 gifts are not.
No, we didn't think they are.
They're not physical things.
Yeah, right.
They're not physical things. So I have this more in order because I did an episode with Dr. Stephen
I listened to that
Harefield
one.
on
Yeah.
my podcast, and he was tracked in the same exact way they tracked Yeshua. They tracked him based on trying to find his energy signature within reality, and went and found him exact moment when he was meditating, and we're like, oh, you're here. We've been waiting for you. So it kind
I'm
of
gonna put your episode link to that one in the show notes of
that
this.
was yeah, that was really
Sure.
good. And he went and he looked at the scrolls himself. He read it. It was a wonderful episode. But anyways, they gave him wisdom, unconditional love, and there was a third one I can't remember off the top of my head. But the the monks told Yosef, and her name's not Mary, her name is Miriam. Okay, they changed these names a little bit. Okay, the Romans, but it's Miriam and Yosef, and said when Yeshua is old enough, bring him to us, the Hemis Monastery in India. Bring him to us. We'll teach him everything that we know about consciousness, because to fulfill our contract for what Source has asked us to do, so that he can master his studies and prove himself in Egypt. Okay, because at the time that's like the Stanford. Like if you
Right.
prove yourself at like the Ivy League school, now you're super smart and everybody respects you. Any other school is like you just went to a state school. So that's at that time. So that's the thing. So so he spent his 30 years studying and learning and training and all with everybody he possibly can. And then when they when he was done with certain courses, they said, go as he got older and can travel, it's like go do walking meditation, go on the Silk Road, go and practice energy healing with different people, practice your modality, just do your internship,
Yeah.
basically. Just do your
Yeah.
internship. So that's what he did. So he did energy healing wherever he went. He taught what he learned. He learned new things, documented all that. And so there's a lot of accounts for him in Asia. And for Muslims, it was just building at the time. They called him Isa because, uh, you know, they don't have doctors per se, so it works. So it's like, oh, this energy healing stuff works. This consciousness stuff works, whatever. So, anyways, so that's why there's so much history of this Yeshua, this Westerner Yeshua, and he doesn't look white, by the way. He looks like a Middle Eastern man,
Yeah.
and his girlfriend walking around. Now, Miriam and Yeshua's cousin, John the Baptist, also attended these schools because their parents are like hippies too. They were part of the same Essene group as Miriam and Yosef. So, anyways, this is a very condensed version of it, but that's where he
Oh,
spent
it's
most of his
great.
30 years. So now you account for 30 years of where did he learn this stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, did he just come in? Yeah, he came in with a lot of the stuff on his knowing, because there's things that you know about yourself and that you just know about the universe, your own personal knowing. But he got his formalized education through the different monasteries that he studied in, and they all track it. Every single one of them will track like who comes in, who comes out. When you go in, there's a log. You write your name and your date and all of that. So they track who comes in. All their students, they have student records of all the students, name, number,
Wow.
whatever. They have all of that. If you go to a different monastery and you study a different monastery, they'll have records of who attended. Okay, and they're very, very private about this. And there's people stumble into a lot of different things. So that's the 30 years. Then he came back and went to Egypt, did the whole Egypt thing. And then, the rest is history. So the other thing is he did have children with Miriam.
Yep.
He had three. Okay. He had a boy and two girls. Okay. The boy you probably are familiar with is I can't remember his name. He's, in the Bible, he marries that woman that works on the grain field. Boz.
Wow.
Boz. Yes, that's the son.
Okay.
And then Sarah is one of the daughters, and the third name, Dr. Harefield didn't couldn't pick up right at the time, but you can go into the different sources and they name a third one. But the children, like most children, don't want to stay in India. They want to go and find their life
Yeah.
wherever. Go wander the world, go, whatever. So many of them ended up in France, or back at that time, that part of Europe.
Okay.
Okay. So then it goes into a lot of stories about what's that movie that they did? It's a blockbuster movie.
10 Commandments?
No,
What, is
no,
that a Bible movie or
no.
just a regular movie?
It's a regular movie where they go and they search where Miriam's tomb is in France. I can't remember off the top of my head, but
I can't think of it.
yeah, I know one of your audience like it's this movie with
Right. Was it a movie like one of the movies with Harrison Ford?
no, it's
None of
another
those.
popular. It's another popular. Um. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. But they ended up in
Oh,
the French area, okay, and they kind
okay.
of got into nobility and all that kind of stuff. So that's basically what happened to Yeshua. Okay. So and there's so many different references all over Asia. You can try to open up a lot of different books. I go to a lot of different monasteries. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, we know him. He's one of many that has
Yeah.
gone through the monastic institutions." So
Wow.
it still happens today. So there are people awakening, raising their consciousness, coming into the sixth senses, um, doing energy healing work, teaching it, applying it, etc. It still happens today, and I have plenty of these clients as well that reach out to me for assistance with what's happening in their reality
Yeah.
as the energy field is changing and affecting the reality that they engaged in.
Yeah, because you're hearing so many, at least I am, there's so many more people that do those things. I guess it's more mainstream. It's becoming more mainstream. Just like, you know, quantum physics and those things that you would never hear about that stuff even really 10, 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said early on, yoga and meditation. I mean, if you'd have told someone 10 years ago you're going to go meditate, they think you're a weirdo. But
Well, now the hospitals recommend it
yeah,
as
it's
part of
totally
your wellness.
exactly. So it's interesting to look at that and see how it's evolving and how consciousness is definitely, raising.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's fascinating. But man, you're a wealth of knowledge, and this is just amazing stuff. I mean, we could talk for hours and hours, and there's a lot of different ways, we could go.
Oh,
But I mean, I just appreciate you coming on. I mean, this topic and the information you gave alone, I hope that people, will just have an open mind, to look, because whether it's Mormon church or other things, we're taught that anything outside of what the church publishes is anti-Mormon. But it's like if you have nothing to hide, you hide nothing. And if you're afraid of people to challenge things and look into things and find their truth, then that's kind of strange to me. That shouldn't be the way it is. And so, hopefully people will challenge their beliefs. One thing I always try to do is, I want to know truth. I want to challenge my beliefs, because we got to ask ourselves, where did our beliefs come from? They come from the experience we had, the people we're around, the things we're taught. And unless you're willing to challenge them and look into things and learn, you're just gonna be living on beliefs that you were taught by other people,
yeah,
and
yeah.
your experience of what you were exposed to, particularly younger as a child too. There's just so much that there is to learn, and to really help us, because we're such powerful beings. I mean, we can do all those things, and
Yeah.
it takes a lot of work, obviously, but we're not even tapping into close to the abilities that we have, most of us, you know.
Exactly. And we're doing it also as a collective and
Yeah.
also individually as well. these psyops have a tendency to affect our energy field and lower us down.
Let's say.
but anyways, besides that, psyops in our lives, psyops in the community, in the world, whatever. But they're basically just old programs that just keep on running in the background that we just never really stop to have the time to look at and dissect and be like, why do I do things this way? Why do I see things that way?
Yeah.
Why is it that everything I do, I always get the same exact type of person?
Yes.
Where did I get the programming that this is what I want? Because it never works out for me. I mean, those kind of things. But
Once you look at it, yeah, it's interesting.
yeah, once you look at it, you're like, oh, I see it. But this book right here has a lot of working examples. I just love how the lotus just
Awesome.
lights
It
up.
just
Oh,
pops off. That does that.
I love that. But really, yeah, it's really light.
It does. It
I
almost looks
love it.
like it's a real light to it.
It's yeah. Oh, I can't stop looking at it. It's like a multi-dimensional lotus. I think it's gonna come out of the book.
Yeah.
Um, and anyways, yeah. So when you understand how your consciousness creates your physical reality and how you change your physical reality based off understanding how you were programmed, and where you got your belief systems about things, not just about spirituality, but anything, your belief
Yeah.
system about
Everything.
money.
Yep.
You
Big
can never
one.
get enough, you work too hard,
Yeah.
whatever. Your belief system about relationships, a perfect man never exists,
Yeah.
so then you never really get a perfect relationship or a healthy relationship or whatever. All your your belief systems that you got conditioned from growing up, and their culture, your religion, your class, all these different things that you grew up, you picked up some of them, but you also picked up some that you unconsciously picked up and stuck in your bag of tricks. And so then you're walking around through life making decisions and looking at things, and not really knowing that you have old programs, old hidden fees running in the background that are affecting what you're doing and how you're deciding how you live your life and how you create it. So if you just spend some time to stop and unpack your consciousness to see, okay, which one of these old conditioning patterns that I was raised with or I was exposed with throughout my life and through my different experiences, which ones do I want to keep and which ones no longer serve me that I want to come to terms with?
Yeah.
Okay. So with your religion, for example, or your belief system about our relationship with God and the holographic reality that our avatars engage with is basically what it is. We have chosen those set of conditions for certain reasons so that we can learn about ourselves. Okay. So, for example, someone who deals with bankruptcy typically will have a history of bankruptcy or of mismanagement and all that kind of stuff. So, who best to help somebody in that situation than somebody who knows exactly how you think?
If you're tired of supporting the big corporations and, frankly, supporting the swamp through paying for cable or satellite service, it's time to defund the swamp and refund the kingdom. The simplest way to do that is to check out the VC Streambox by going to vcstreambox.tv. That is VSEESTREAMBOX.tv. Check out this incredible streaming device that gives you every single local channel throughout the country, any sports channel you can imagine. You'll never miss a game, no matter who your team is ever again, as well as 60,000 video on demand titles, all the TV series you can dream of. There's nothing like it, a one-time fee with no monthly subscription. Not only that, if you're, looking for an additional income, there's an incredible opportunity with their affiliate program that you can simply scroll to the very bottom of any of the pages on the website, vcstreambox.tv, click on the affiliate program title at the very bottom. It will take you to a page that will give you all the information where you can sign up. You'll earn 20% commission paid weekly on any referrals that you send, the unique link that you'll receive via email. Once you have a VC box, you will be blown away and you automatically will get referrals because it is that incredible. I can't even put words to tell people how much people love this thing and how they're blown away by all of the channels that it gives them. It actually includes even 98 Canadian channels and 128 Latino channels.
The same thing with addicts. Your sponsor isn't like a normie. You know, they know your hidden lies and your tricks, and they're already around the corner waiting for you to figure that part out. So that's exactly it. So we all, whether we like it or not, and if you go into hypnosis and quantum hypnosis and you go all the way back to the source of when you pre-plan the elements in your life, you'll find that it was a very intricate plan that was developed on multiple layers to kind of build out the experience to help you achieve what it is your soul wanted to achieve and to have the experiences that your soul wanted to have within the creation that God created. So that's just a very brief overview of pre-life planning. But even very strict or seemingly rigid religions, a lot of people will also branch out and explore consciousness, explore different things through whatever ways that they want to do it, whether they want to explore it through health, through finances, through raising children, whatever, however they want to explore themselves and their consciousness, they will do those explorations and still meet within the culture that they're used to.
Right.
So it requires a little navigating. So it's not like we want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. If we don't like the way the water looks, we just throw it all. It's all get rid of everything. There might be some good things to keep, and just kind of know that not everything is perfect. And if it works for you, great. If some of it works for you, but other things don't work for you, then just put an asterisk and then move on to find those answers so that you can create your next best experience in your life. But so, like I'm never not going to be Asian, okay? I'm just gonna have to accept it. I'm never not going to be a female in this life. All right, I'm just gonna have to accept it. This is the avatar that I chose. I'm also never not going to be Buddhist because it encompasses everything. So there's like some hard lines that I cannot undo. So I need to, and I'm not like I don't like it. I like the avatar and the elements that I picked in my pre-life plan, but it may not allow me the accessibility to certain experiences. Okay. So I have to understand that certain experiences I chose not to come in with the requirements to have those experiences. So I chose to pick my set of games for the game board to play this game that I'm allowed to fully immerse myself in and enjoy that other people may not be able to partake in because they haven't met those requirements. Okay. So so that's just basically it. So there's really no way to screw up your game. But if you want to, there's a lesson there too.
Sure.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. Because from being an addict, I mean, you hit your lowest low and then you get to your greatest high, and that's quite a springboard.
Oh, big time. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So would you take back all of the mistakes and quote mistakes or hard knocks that you lived through? Would you take it all back?
And not have to go through it? No way.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Because it made you where you are and what you are now.
Oh yeah. That's just I believe everything has a purpose. I've always believed there's no accidents. I wouldn't be who I am without that experience, period.
Yeah.
That was just part of it.
Exactly. And if you went back and you saw yourself at your worst, slinging and gunning and doing a lot of nasty things. I've been doing. I'm a normie. My best friends are addicts from high school. That's how we found out that who was an addict, who was a normie. In high school, because when you're young, you just experiment. And I found out I was normally my best friends found out that they were addicts, and instead of making new best friends, I went to NA with them. So
Well, that's
I've been a
cool.
normie in NA for over 25 years
Oh,
and
cool.
counting. So I've heard the stories.
Yeah, I I consider incredibly blessed. I was very functioning. I mean, there was still some wreckage, obviously, but there was, I was very functional addict. My business actually flourished. That's crazy, but there's a lot of things I did. Obviously, I shouldn't have been, and there was a lot of things wreckage with family and stuff. Obviously, but yeah, I wouldn't change it. I
Yeah.
situation after I got sober and everything that ended up in federal prison over a situation. I wouldn't change that. I mean, I tell people often that there's things I did in my addiction that would have put me in prison.
Yeah.
The situation I went through, guilt by association through my appraisal firm and stuff. But even though I don't believe I should have gone to prison over that at all, based on the stuff I know, I believe it was the right thing because I was so into things and business and money and stuff defining who I was that I didn't even have a clue who the hell I was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I still say, even though it wrecked me big time and mentally and financially and everything, it was a blessing. That's just the way I've always looked at it.
Yeah. Now it's hard to say that to people who are going through that right now.
Oh, absolutely.
And for people who have not gone through that or known somebody who's gone through it full circle, it's easy to look down, judge, and just, be like, ugh,
Yeah.
ugh. So the best thing that you could do is just send love and grace
That's it.
and wish that their bottom lift their bottom a little bit and hope that they reached it.
Exactly.
Like not down here, but like the bottom up here.
Yeah.
Like hopefully they
That's
reached
it.
it so they
Yeah.
can finally get themselves together. That's the best thing they could do because until they do that themselves, there's nothing really anybody could do.
Exactly. Yeah. And
Yeah,
until we figure out the underlying reason why we're doing it, we're still not going to be able to beat it. That's
exactly.
that's the real key. So
You become a master of manifestation
yeah,
afterwards. You really
that's
do.
that's one thing that maybe people listening that maybe haven't seen it in their lives, how their thoughts or beliefs have created what they have. If you'll try to look back at it, you can see it. But if you still have a hard time, look at other people,
Hmm.
because there's, I won't name names, but most people who know them locally here that has a very successful business that became massive. And when I had my appraisal firm early on, we used to do appraisals for his mortgage company that had at the
Hmm.
time, and then he shifted businesses and whatnot. And I remember we used to always call him the golden boy,
Hmm.
because like if you think of that person, everything they touch turns to gold. Well, it's if you look at why, it's more to do with things you've talked about. It's the way they think, the people they're around, and their belief system. And or you can have fear and be afraid and think you're not good enough and not even
Yeah.
try, and stand in a victim stance and just be negative, and you'll continue to get that. And so
Yeah.
it's really interesting as you really try to look at it. And then as you then understand it and implement certain things in your life, how quickly things can change. Because I went through that. I
Yeah.
came out of prison and I was stuck for 8 years.
Yeah.
And
One thing that what comes to mind really quick is especially when you're doing consciousness reevaluation and understanding where you want to go, where you've come, and just kind of looking at the different programs or conditions that are running in your psyche that's affecting how you create your reality is the word trigger. Triggers come up all the time. And the thing is that you have to I think it's best to give yourself room to change your mind. Give yourself room to allow other people to change, and not put yourself so much in a box. And I know in like America, we identify so much with certain things, and that's who we are. But then later on, maybe we've had an experience or other things that maybe open us up to finally breaking through our own echo chambers
yes,
because we when we identify so much with something and we build these very thick walls, in our own echo chambers, and then we won't think and listen to anything else. And I've been there. I've been there. I'm like not like non anything. I don't have a political stance or a religious stance, but I do pick pick and choose here and there. So
Sure.
what I see is that that's triggering to some people is the Trump picture behind you.
Oh, I'm sure.
Okay, so and I'm going to say something about that, because my qigong and energy healing instructor worked on him early on when he was younger and building his career
Really?
in his 20s, and he went to her to kind of get like assessment and what do I want to do with myself, all that kind of stuff. So he did consultation with her, and she studied with a qigong energy healing master from China that also taught the Dalai Lama, because
Wow.
he taught a lot of people. So anyways, um, my point being is that before he got into a certain role in politics, he was the clown that everybody liked.
Right.
Now he has gone through this experience that is very polarizing, and it's a very, very tough situation. All of them are in a tough situation to be
Say.
in, because in certain roles within this reality, um, there's a lot of, I don't know, booby traps, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, good people turn into bad people turn
Yep.
into good people. I mean, just all over the place. So you have to be able to change your mind and not stick people permanently with a stereotype forever.
Yeah.
Because,
True.
because like I said, this Monopoly game has a lot of booby traps, and you can go in with the best intentions, and maybe at one point in a moment of time you were guilty of one thing, but then in another point in another moment of time you find out more information, and you apply the eightfold path of correct
Yeah.
understanding,
Yeah.
and then you can see, oh, okay, so that person's also a victim of their
Yeah.
circumstances as well. So like I said, not throwing the baby out of the bathwater. So
True.
so there's a reason why I bring that up. One of the changes in the Bible, the 1583 Geneva Bible. Um, and I have all the old Bibles, and they predated the King James version, so it wasn't a misprint. Um, and the thing is that the Lord's Prayer about not trespassing, many of us grew up knowing the Lord's Prayer to not trespass on each other.
Yeah.
That's where we got the notion of no trespassing. It's a very unique word, trespassing. Okay. The no trespassing sign is a reference to the Lord's Prayer about no trespassing. We all know this. However, when you look at any Bible, even the earliest ones, uh, the Geneva Bible from 1583, even in Latin, it doesn't say trespass. It never said trespass. Okay. It says debt and debtors. In this version of reality that you're in, it says debts and debtors. So you're not misremembering. The Bible is not wrong. It it was always debts and debtors in this version of reality that you are experiencing through your consciousness. The reason why it's debt and debtors instead of trespasses is because in the other version of reality that you experience, that you grew up with, knowing the Lord's um, prayer with and trespassing, is because in that reality, the issue was people, taking things from other people. And that was the big issue with those realities. In this reality, the big issue is greed, depending
Bingo.
on debts.
Bingo. So
It's
true.
greed.
Gee.
Greed
Yeah.
is in this reality, greed is fueling the debts,
Yep.
and the debtors are also compromised in a lot of different ways. The good guys, the bad guys are the good guys. I mean, you don't, and they change hats all the time depending on
Yeah.
how
You
they're
don't
being
know who.
manipulated. So you
Yep.
never know who is the clown and who's like
True.
the real deal. So
Yep.
that's why in the
Fascinating.
Bible, in this version of reality, it is debts and debtors because we have to forgive all of our debts in order to move on. We can't move on if we're going to constantly have wars and fighting over
Yep.
the debts that we've accrued over time because of greed and psyop manipulation. So that's why the Bible in this version of reality is
That's
debts and
awesome.
debtors. And so I save these as relics because I understand the differences. And when people ask, why is it like that in this version of reality? You have to look at the reality and go, what is
Freezing up
going
on
on
me,
in the
Vaughn. Can you hear
reality?
me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Froze up for a minute.
Oh no, it's fine. But anyways, but if you're conscious and you look at the greater reality and when you see changes in the reality, like the Bible is a great reference for changes in reality because many of us know it. Um, and you apply, then you can see, oh, it does match this reality. It matches it perfectly.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I hadn't
Okay.
picked up on that before.
Yeah, yeah. And the same thing with the lion and the lamb, the reality that we knew, that we grew up in, that I grew up in. They had the lion lay down with the lamb. They had it in Twilight, the movie Twilight, where the vampire
Oh
was
yeah.
he laid down with the lamb. Anyways, so residue. But if you look at any Bibles, even the old ones from the Geneva 1500 Bibles, um, that that predate King James, written by and most of the Bible was not written by Catholic people. They were written by Muslims, um,
Yeah.
Jews and other people. But they they had a huge censorship, a huge like slander, um, you know, a huge defamation for anybody who was writing anything about the Bible. So there was a whole controversial thing just to do a simple thing like interpret the Bible and
Right.
translate into a language that most people can read. So, anyways, I've done episodes like that as well. But the thing that I'm saying about the lion and the lamb is when you go look at your Bibles, it does not say lion and the lamb. It says the wolf and the lamb. So the wolf lays down with the lamb. That is
Yeah.
not a misprint in this version of reality.
I heard you talk about this just recently. I was listening to this.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's
it's
crazy.
always been that. Go find your oldest Bible in the chest in the basement. You'll see that it is the wolf lays down with the lamb in this version of reality. The reason why is because your consciousness has moved into a reality where now that is applicable, and it's telling you that this reality um, is corrupt. It's like the wolf is corrupting
Yep.
the herd. And so it's kind of like a warning. And so now you got to know what's going on so you can see it. And so you can be like, okay, I understand what's going on. So in order to fix this, we need to work just like we have to like forgive the debts and
Yeah.
not like go out and like have like a war murderous rampage on the debtors because they're all compromised in so many different levels. Um, it's almost like an analogy of gangsters taking over everything. They're just like nobody can
Kidding.
be good
Yeah,
because
it is.
there's so many layers. Like
Yeah.
there's like
It's
there's
so
so many
deep that most
layers.
people have to freak out. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's
crazy
like
how corrupted
it's
it is.
it's like every single. It's like I was talking to one of my clients and she was just kind. She's a good person, but she's gotten into some things that wasn't so great. But like with prostitution,
Hmm.
okay, and then trafficking and all that kind of stuff, they will force the parent
Oh,
to become an addict. They will like even if you don't want to and you know you don't want to, they will force you by beating you and all and destroying your family, whatever. Just like they're trying all these different heinous ways to force you to do the drug, to physically make you an addict. Now you're addicted and you're stuck in the system. Okay. There's
yeah.
so many layers of compromise that not everybody is the bad guy. Not every bad guy is the good guy. Not every good guy is the bad guy because
Right.
it's just different levels. And it's all fueled on greed. And so when you look at the Bible and you look at through these eyes instead of just a certain perspective of judgment and of assigning justice, when you look at it and you're going, there's so many different layers of this, then you could understand that it is telling us that one, our issue is about debt and greed. So we have to forgive and not go, to the juggler for everybody, because
Mhm.
everybody is innocent in some way and everybody's a victim at some level. And then two, the lamb and the wolf, that's the structure. It's like the gangsters taking over the neighborhood.
Yeah, no
So we
question.
have to deal with the gangsters
Yeah,
appropriately in order to take back our neighborhood. That's what it's telling us.
bingo.
Okay.
I agree with that 100%. That's the only way we're gonna pull this off. I think we have to focus locally and get involved.
Yeah, yeah. So I know it kind of went off on a little tangent there because
No,
there's so many different areas that
great.
we can go
Yeah,
into, because I've been following the ascension of Earth and the leveling up of human consciousness. This is one of my missions incarnating in this lifetime,
yeah.
because all the Buddhist monks growing up told me that I was a pre-life planner in the spirit world, which I had no clue what that was. And I'm like, what is that? What kind of job is that?
Uh,
And, and they're like, oh yeah, a pre-life planner is basically like your school counselor helping people plan out their curriculum so they can achieve whatever they're trying to achieve for
so
school.
fascinating.
And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that sounds like the most boring job ever.
So let's last question. I know you got to get going, so I really appreciate your time. But so when you say you're with that pre-life planner, does the individual then pretty much plan out for the most part everything of their
Oh
life?
no, no, no. People come in with good intentions and then they don't follow it.
Okay.
So, like, they just don't follow it. Not everybody follows. Now there are some hard plans that you can't deter from and change, like what your avatar is going to be. What
Right.
your parents are, like if you're going to be
Like,
a boy and girl. But
yeah.
but a lot of the other things that you plan for yourself, the soft plans, those are flexible, like what kind of career you want to get into,
Okay.
how
That's what I was wondering.
yeah,
Hard,
how
firm
you
down
want to
positive
look.
choices you're making as you go through life, and you got that free will to choose.
Yeah, yeah, you got free will to choose, and they'll let you choose because there would be no point in you existing if they chose for you.
Right.
If source and if source chose for you, there'd be no point in you existing. There's no fun. So, they created you. You have a splinter um, of source in you. You're a fractal aspect of source, of God,
Yeah.
experiencing your journey. And then when you go back, you tell everybody what you did. So yeah,
Great.
it's a fabulous game. I don't like the word game
Design.
because design, that's a good word. It's a fabulous design that
Yeah.
we have put ourselves in. And I'll just tell you my pre-life plan because it's all come together and I understand it now. So like so going to the monks, and so many monks, I mean, I've gone to so many monasteries, they're like, oh, can you tell me, am I doing okay? Am I on track? And I'm a little girl because they can see my energy field.
Oh,
Because
big time. Yeah.
you already have your energy. You're walking around with your number, your energy, your level of consciousness. Everybody's walking around with a level of consciousness. Okay,
Okay.
so Yeshua had like 1,000 and above, and Kuan Yin had like 1,000 above. Crazy numbers. But everybody's walking with the credit, the credit score. Everybody's walking with their soul's credit score
Right.
to the universe, and that soul's credit score is attracting whatever is matching up to it. So like if you have a high credit, everybody wants to offer you a house, a car, and everything.
That's right.
If you have bad credit score, you just get like the subpar stuff. And
That's so
anyways, everybody's walking with their aura field's credit score and their soul's credit score in this reality, and you come pre-baked with stuff as well. So and anyways, so I came in with a credit score already, my soul's credit score, and I would go to all these different monasteries growing up, and the senior monks would immediately stop their chant and just look around, like, oh, because they can feel it. Especially
Yeah.
if they're really, because that's all they do is meditate all day and cocoon.
Oh,
So
kidding.
they're like, and just
Crazy.
explore consciousness. So they're like, oh, somebody came in. And they would tell them, the student monks, carry on the lesson, whatever it is. I gotta go search for the master credit score. So, and they would search around and they would stop my dad because they always assume it's a guy. And then it wasn't him, and they're like, no, something's off. And then they will assume it's my mom because she's at every single vat, at every single temple, and she's one of those like those ladies that always go. And they're like, no, no, something's off, something's off. And then they would narrow it down, and then they would scratch their head and be like,
Left to you.
what? Little girl? She's 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 got the knowledge. So on the spirit side, I don't have all the knowledge. I just have certain aspects of it. Um, so I think I put certain limits on myself because if I had access to other things, but I do have access on the other side, it would distract me from completing the things I need to do.
That
It'd
makes
be too
sense.
much of a distraction.
Yeah.
So, anyways, but it's enough. And so
Right.
then they would ask me, like, oh, what do you think about blah, blah, blah? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. Because I haven't gone through my experiences yet. I haven't written all 3 books and gotten the 20 years of scientific evidence because it hasn't come out yet to justify the stuff that I've learned through passing in my childhood from studying art history on all the different murals. So it hasn't come to fruition yet. So
Right.
we all walk around because everything exists all at once in all of existence. We all walk around with all of everything, but we exist in a linear time frame where certain things have to happen for it to manifest. So even though they can tell automatically by sensing the energy field of somebody that
Uh-huh.
you have access, you have the key codes to access XXX, you still can't enter those doorways yet because certain things have to come to fruition before the path is open.
Gotcha.
So they're all like, oh, we just have to wait. We just have to wait. I was like, oh, I don't know. Maybe I'll write some books and then you can read it and then you'll learn everything. And now I just show up to like this to some of these childhood monasteries. I just give them my books.
That's cool.
And they're like, well, that answers a lot. Thanks, Vaughn. And I'm like, you're welcome. You just had to wait like 35, 40 years for me to write the books. But now I answered the question that you asked me 35 years ago when I was a kid.
Wow.
So they're like, yeah, that's true. Um, but anyways, yeah, we have it all with us. And so when you're ready for those next level experiences to really engage with reality and really use your consciousness and your energy field to match up to certain realities and certain experiences that you would rather have, um, it's a complete next level existence. So like, I know it's kind of going off all over the place, but so
No,
what was my mission? Okay, so my mission really quick. My mission really quick was as a pre-life planner, I was going to come down here and be a resource to other ancient souls that came in and volunteered to help humanity raise consciousness to get to higher dimensions of reality in preparation for us being interstellar. Okay. It's kind of like when white
that
people
would,
met black people for the first time, there's a
yeah,
transition period. Okay.
that technically what star seeds are here for. Or
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty
most,
much. Yeah, yeah. Um, Earth is like a gas station. It's a stop on the way. It's not a permanent place. Okay. You already had existences because the only thing is real is your spirit. So
yeah,
everything else is just a manifestation of the game board. So anyways, not to get too esoteric into like our parallel cells and how we're all one and all that kind of stuff, but
right.
um but but besides the point, so in the spirit world, according to all of the monks growing up, I'm a pre-life planner. And I chose to come in at this time because this was a time of the big transition.
Yep.
Okay. Transitions are messy. Okay. It's like birth. It's a messy thing. Okay.
Yeah.
We're not giving birth and like Israel is like singing over the rainbow in Hawaiian or anything, and there's a whole entourage. It's not like that. It's not this beautiful thing. So it's messy. And
I
it's
guess
beautiful at the
you are.
same time.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's a lot of things to navigate when you get to the hospital. Okay. In terms like the doctors, the nurses, what they ask you, what they don't ask you, what you want to do with the baby, what you don't want to do with the baby, how you want to be received. There's a lot of things when
Yeah.
you get through that phase, and then a lot of things afterwards. So it's just a messy process that's beautiful and exciting at the same time. But we have to do some navigating. And this is where it comes really hard, because free will and then gut is going to help us navigate some of this very difficult and not clear terrain. And some of us are going to get, we're going to fall a little bit. We're going to make some mistakes, quote, quote, mistakes. We're going to get hurt a little bit and so forth, but we are going to make it through it. So, anyways, as a pre-life planner, I came here to live my life like everybody else, and I had my specific experiences that I wanted to enjoy as well. But there was a couple of things that I needed to do. One, I needed to bring um, consciousness studies to the forefront so people can understand the whole game board. And then two, I needed to be a resource for other starseeds, other incarnates that had other lifetimes prior to this Earth experience, coming into here and helping them transition and complete their mission. That's where most of my clients are. And so if you watch Macabre Chakras, you'll kind of get into that world of
Oh yeah.
consciousness studies. So anyways, that's what. So I'm here as a resource to kind of help, basically people I help pre-life plan, uh, kind of help them get back on the horse and get back on
Yeah.
their plan. And then the other thing
Wow.
is to re bring um the old Lemurian spirituality back into the forefront. So prior to the mega flood, there was two major uh, civilizations. It was Lemuria and Atlantis.
Yeah.
Now, Atlantis is a folklore, quote, quote, but Lemuria is not a folklore. It's called Mu, and it's written in many Buddhist monasteries and scrolls about the lost civilization of Mu and its people that had spread all throughout Asia and the world, escaping the flood. The people that survived were the ones who were made to them high mountain top areas. What happens to also be in the high mountaintop areas where all the portal points is where all the megaliths and pyramids are. So, anyways, those are the people that survive. So you have people like myself, who is a descendant, a DNA descendant of Mu, who ended up on the tippy tops of the Himalayas. And I'm from the Hmong tribe of Laos in the around the Himalayan tippy top areas. And I have DNA from Polynesia, which I have never been to in my life. So there's a lot of that people. We're all over the place. So but there's also people who were incarnates from Atlantis that are reincarnating at this time because we're given a chance to bring this back up, this technology, this spirituality, this consciousness back up, and make help work with Earth to go into our galactic experiences. The struggle with that is that there's a lot of psyops that's been kind of like going on in the neighborhood for a long time. So there's a lot of messy psyops in the neighborhood, a lot of gangsters running around going loose and stuff because they've been allowed to do it for so long. But now all of the ancient ones are reincarnating back, and now we got to clean up this mess. Okay, because all these kids have like destroyed the paradise. So I
Yep.
gotta clean this up, and it's gotten really, really messy. So it's gonna take some time to clean it up.
But it's
Require a
gonna
lot of
happen.
love. It's happening, but it's gonna require a
Happening.
lot of love and grace and compassion
Yeah.
and forgiveness. But we're gonna get through it. And because if we don't get through it, we'll do this over again as part of our. We can't go
Yeah.
to the next level unless we graduate this. Okay, so we'll
Yeah.
do it over again, and I don't like doing anything classes over again. So
No
we're going
kidding.
to. We're. I know, right? Nobody wants to do the hard knocks over again. You learn suffering one time is enough for infinity.
No
Okay,
kidding.
so anyways, we're learning our lesson, and then we are going to transition into slowly evolve and add in like greater and bigger experiences for ourselves. And so this is the kind of topics that we kind of go into. And a lot of my clients, like I'm like, a lot of the star seeds are not necessarily always the ones in the front of the,
Yeah.
sometimes they're kind of like cushion in the back seat with,
Gotcha.
so they're, and this is what happens. Like there's been so many incidences in my life where I was in the middle of like a major historical event. However, I was supposed to go there. I had to line up and everything, but all of a sudden my car breaks down. I can't make it. Sorry. My kid has nurse's elbow, and like the morning of, I'm like, I gotta go to the hospital instead. And they're like, oh, we're gonna miss you and all these other kind of things. But for whatever reason, I'm supposed to be in the middle of the big event, and then they take me out of it. Like I was never supposed to be in there. I'm just supposed to be like an activator. I'm like a
Oh.
catalyst. So like everybody, a lot of people that I interview for my podcast CVAR, vaccine reverse reactions.
Yes.
Many of them have done wonderful, fabulous things, and it's part of their purpose to get that information out to kind of help bring disclosure about some things that weren't
Yeah.
always clear to us early on, that people made
Right.
decisions based off of. And so, and it's wonderful, but I've done my part and I'm kind of bowing out and moving on to other things. But that happens very oftentimes is I'll interview somebody or try something that I really like and then
Yeah.
put it out there. And then 2-3 cycles later, they're gonna do wonderful stuff
That's
and move
cool.
on. And I'm like, I never get the credit. Like I will, like
Yeah.
everybody I go to the casino with, they win the jackpot
Yeah.
only after I gave them the ticket because I never won the jackpot. I was like, okay, nothing. Here you go. I got.
Well, that's an important role, though.
Yeah.
Very
I
important.
afterwards, like, at the casino, like there was this lady. It was one of those like penny slot machines.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of going, walking around to each one, putting my ticket in. I got $1, got $1, whatever. I had like 50 cents left, and I said, "Here, do
Give
you
it
want
to
do you want this?" And she's like, yeah, sure."
She nails it.
She got $15,000, and I was like,
Crazy.
every time. I was just
That's
gonna find something good
hilarious.
to eat. I'm not meant to. It was not part of my. I'm not.
Right.
I already have access to unlimited abundance. So,
Yeah.
and I already know I don't really need it anyways because more money, more problems. So,
Bingo.
anyways,
Jeez.
yeah. So,
So
anyways, but
true.
there's a lot of us. There's a lot of us in all over the world, in
Yep.
all walks of life, in all religions, in all families. Every family's got one of us.
Really?
It's every family's got one star seed.
Really? Interesting.
It's the weird one.
Weird one.
You're probably the one in your family. So a lot of us is
Oh,
easy to. Yeah, a lot of them are addicts too,
really?
because they need to escape from normal is crazy. The
Yeah.
normal crazy. So,
Wow.
so
That's interesting.
but they get the stuff out of it. They get the stuff out of it. But anyways,
Yeah.
we're all over the place,
No,
and
but
we're just
been
catalysts.
great. Oh, no, this has been phenomenal. I mean, I can't thank you enough for the time that you've given. And I mean, there's
Yeah.
so much
We
to
can just
talk
go
about.
on about anything.
I
Here,
know.
let me do this. Let me add a last message, okay?
All right. Let's do it.
Okay, because I can ramble on about anything.
Well, I want to respect your time. I know your husband's taking care of your kids, so we got to respect him too.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so the last message. So I do quantum hypnosis, remote and in person, and I've had people fly over from Denver, from different countries, to come over to Seattle, Washington, to get a hypnosis because they want to speak to source through the energy field of the practitioner. Okay. So just being in the energy field of somebody who is of a higher soul credit score kind of
Yep.
like helps you a little bit. You gotta get a little
Yeah.
bump up in your Expedia. So anyways, but I do quantum hypnosis, and every single time source says the same thing to every single person. So I made it into this brief message. Okay. So this is a message that Source wants everybody to know wherever you are in your life journey as you navigate the terrain. You've always been enough. Use the gifts and resources all around you to create a life you want to experience, a life full of love and joy. And the spirit world will nudge you through synchronicity. You can do it. That's it, you guys.
Man, that's beautiful, man. Wow. Well, thank you so much, Vaughn. Where can people, connect with you? Your website is merkabachakras.com.
Yep, Merkaba, Merkaba, chakras, like the 7 chakras.com. It's in the show description. And then if you want to learn more about Yeshua's 30 years that are missing, that I go over that episode with Dr. Stephen Harefield, and that's also in the show description as well. And then, when you guys are ready, if you guys are having crazy awakening and sixth senses that are going out of control, and your reality is just going out of control, and you're kind of there at that point, just reach out to me, send me a message through the website, and we can make a consultation appointment as well. I do get kind of busy because I had to troubleshoot my mom life, my work life, and then I do these interviews on the side a little bit, just to kind of sprinkle a little bit of my contribution. So, I might book you out, I'll try to book you out as soon as I can, but I usually get to everybody.
Well, that is fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Vaughn. I really appreciate it. Wish you all the luck. I definitely want to stay in touch. Hopefully we can do this again. So I'll stay in touch, and have a fantastic evening, and tell your husband thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Blessings, everyone.
Thank you. Take care. Hey, folks, if you're not prepared and don't have emergency supplies, specifically food storage and a few other survival things, right now is the best time to jump on over to getpreparedwithsteve.com and save big at My Patriot Supply. That's getpreparedwithsteve.com and save big while they've got their holiday specials going on. Save up to $100 on a 3-month food supply. Make sure that you've got the things that you need, as the supply chains are really choked off right now, and many of the stores' shelves are getting bare. Do not get caught in a situation where you're not able to take care of your family.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow. Towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. This is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work.
The new MyPillow towels are exclusively made with 100% USA combed cotton with proprietary technology and with maximum absorbency. They dry you faster and are guaranteed to work.
I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow. And to thank you for all your support, I'm going to pass the savings directly on to you. Go to MyPillow.com to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. For example, you get my dog beds for as low as $19.99, or for a limited time, you can get my 6-piece towel sets, regularly $109.99, now only $39.99. The lowest price ever with your promo code.